And welcome to Endunamo. My name is Ferdinand Mokete. I'm the academic head of the EPC program, and I will be introducing the program and the workshop specifically. Maybe as I introduce the program and the workshop and how we're going to be running the program. With me, I've got Rendani Mutero. He's one of the executives in the team and also one of the professional team members. He's joined me tonight to walk you down the APC 2021 and how we're going to be delivering the workshop. So once again, I just want to welcome everyone and just say you are welcome to be here, and we're very excited to be taking you through this journey. And it will be interesting for you guys to evaluate and say, why does Fedi use the word excited? Maybe a couple of reflections, and you'll get to see why I'm saying excited. I'm choosing the word excited to define this evening. We are here because of a number of reasons, but ultimately, the reason we all here is because it did not go well in the APC 2021 assessment. I just wanted us to take that moment and realize and say, yes, it did not go well in the APC 2021 assessment, and hence we are all here. So us being here, I want you guys to realize that there is still a journey that you have chosen. And this journey is the journey of becoming chartered accountants. And in no way, the fact that it didn't go well on the 1st of December 2021 should not derail you from the goal. You still have the goal. The goal is still there and it's still within your reach. And I want every one of you guys, firstly, to accept the results as they are and to say, what can I learn from the results? How do I make sure that I'm going to make it and become successful in the March 2022 sitting? Because you've got the opportunity to sit for that March APC and become victorious and to celebrate for that victory. It's just 28 or 29 days away. So you are almost there, guys. And I want you guys to believe and not to be sad in any way or form. If you were sad for the results, for the way they are, forgive yourself and move on. It's in the past. We now need to focus on the goal. And the goal is to become chartered accountants. That's number one. I wanted to also, I want every one of you guys now to also reflect and say, there could have been a number of reasons why I am finding myself in the position that I am today and why I'm here tonight. It could have been the laptop issues that most of us experienced on the 1st. It was a disaster. Or to say it was a disaster is actually an understatement. And it could have been that, and you were severely impacted by that.
Oh.
If you could just all mute. It could be because you were not severely impacted by the disaster, but there are areas that you still need to work hard on. And I want you guys to really reflect on those areas and work hard at them. It will be unfortunate if you are sitting here and you think there is nothing that you could do better. And I want you guys to really use this workshop. And Randani is going to unpack as to how we're going to run this workshop. I want you guys to really use this workshop to evaluate the areas that we still need to improve. To still evaluate the areas that you need to improve. Because for every single one of you guys, there are a number of areas that if we work hard at, then we will be successful on the 30th of March. You cannot walk into that assessment without having looked at your blind spots and worked through them. Right. Maybe at this point, I would ask you guys to say, how does it feel? And what are the things that you guys think? And I'm going to take a couple of hands and just what are you looking forward to the workshop, or what are you looking forward to in the workshop? How are you feeling? Have you gone through and have you accepted the fate and we're here? Or are there anything else that we should be aware of? Because we don't want to also take the workshop into a direction that you guys would not be beneficial to you guys. And I just want you guys just to open yourself up and talk to us, especially in the chat box. So I'm going to ask you guys to put into the chat box as to, are you ready to take through this workshop in such a way that you're going to learn from it? Are there anything else that we still need to deal with? Are there any hurting moments that you've been through that we just need to iron out before we kick off the workshop? Or are we ready? And I'm going to talk about readiness as well in a bit. But is there anyone who wants to share anything or their story or whatever the case might be before I ask you guys about readiness? Anyone? Come on, guys. Yes, I saw some people going off mute. Okay. Nervous. Yeah, maybe let's unpack Dinel's comment about nervous but ready. Dinel, what makes, and I know a lot of you guys are nervous about this. Maybe Dinel, if you go about it, what makes you nervous about this much sitting or the workshop? Or is there anything that makes you nervous? Come, Dinel. Don't be shy. Keto is saying ready but doubting myself now. Keto, do you want to unpack that for us?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I think for me, evening everyone, I think for me, it's just the whole idea of like I had never failed anything in my life, first of all. So this was
Okay.
like the first time I experienced failure. So I didn't know how to process it. And I'm so scared to, go through that again. So having failed, and it was like, I'm now doubting myself whether am I capable, because I've never failed anything in my life. So I think that's where the doubt is coming from.
Okay. Keto, interesting. And if you've never failed anything in your life and you were then unsuccessful in an APC assessment, I think you should also be thinking or being thankful on the fact that it happened and it happened now. So, because I'm just trying to imagine in a situation where you were unsuccessful and there's no rewrite opportunity, or you were unsuccessful only later in your life when you are my age. Do you see I've got some gray hair? It will actually even hit harder than that. So just be thankful that, of course, it's sad that it happened, but you should not doubt about what you know. You should be saying, there must have been reasons why I did not succeed. And you need to confront those reasons so that you make sure that come the next assessment, you do not become unsuccessful. And it's about confronting those situations. And Neo actually pushed it into the chat box to say, I'm nervous to confront those uncomfortable areas that made me unsuccessful. And this is a life lesson, guys. You will grow from it. I promise you, and trust me, you will grow from it. And throughout your career, you will be able to deal with any what do we call, any obstacle that you are faced with, any challenge you are faced with. This is a challenge. I saw someone also noting in the chat box that I'm still angry, I'm still upset. Trust me, I am too. I'm still upset at either the disaster, I'm upset at Saika for what has happened on the first, but we've got to forgive them and move on, because it's not going to help in any way. Or you could be upset because you did not handle the disaster like the way a chartered accountant needs to handle a disaster. You've got to forgive yourself and move on. Or you could be upset of the fact that you did not manage your time well in some instances, or you did not research sufficiently and prepare yourself sufficiently during the 5 days. Those could be the reason why some of you guys are still upset. But what I'm saying is, we are here tonight. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is to accept and say, I'm ready to give it another go. And give it a bang, guys. Give it a bang. Okay? Do not take it lightly. And this is where now I'm starting to talk about APC assessment. You know, every single program, when I introduce the program, I always talk about a competent professional. I always talk about a competent professional. That is how at Indunamo we always introduce the subject of APC. You know, and I always ask every single candidate, and I'm going to ask you, but not yet. I always ask every single candidate to say,
Fedi on mute.
Hi, Fedi, you're muted.
We can't hear you, Fedi. You're still on mute.
sorry, thanks, guys. Oh, I'm the one who's muted. Thank you. I thought I was actually very convincing in what I was saying. Be that as it may, I was saying every year when I introduce the program, I always talk about a competent professional, which is a candidate that is eligible to register as a CASA. And who is this candidate? This is a responsible business leader. We are building responsible business leaders, guys. And an APC assessment is evaluating whether you are ready to be that competent professional. And if you remember what that means, I always talk about the 3 bubbles. To say a competent professional that is ready to be a CASA is a candidate that has the most technical ability, that has got technical competency at the most highest level. Do you remember how technically competent you were when you passed your academic program being your CTA? Do you remember how technically competent you were when you passed your ITC? That is what contributes to a competent professional, number one. Number two, what contributes to a competent professional is professional values and attitudes. Professional values and attitudes are those attitudes that defines you as an ethical leader, that is able to identify that I'm faced with an ethical dilemma here, meaning whether I do this or I go this direction or the left or the right direction, someone is going to be hurt, but I need to try to minimize the hurt as much as possible. That is a dilemma on its own. And being able to evaluate and identify what are those hurts and what are those benefits. And lifelong learning and just continuously being a lifelong learner. Okay, meaning being able to research something that I haven't seen before and be able to work through it technically or otherwise and make sure that I'm at the right level of competence. And always looking for the public interest, meaning citizenship. And this is you saying, I'm looking out for the public interest, not for myself, not for my own selfish reasons, but just always looking at a situation and say, what is in the best interest of the public here? And those are the professional values that you see. Rendani has just highlighted them there in blue. And those are the things that contribute to being a competent professional. Technical competence that you see as a purple bubble, professional values and attitudes that you see as the blue bubble. And a whole host of the green bubble, which we call enabling competencies. Enabling competencies is to say on the 1st of December 2021, in addition to my highest level of technical competence and ethical leadership and citizenship and lifelong learning, did I articulate myself in such a manner that I was clear, I was concise, I was looking out and being heard by the audience and addressing the audience that they've asked me to address? Meaning, was my communication skill at the best level it can be? Was my business writing skill the best? Secondly, did I apply the correct level of critical thinking? You know, when I got to those review tasks, did I review each and every single of those tasks, especially those capital budgeting and NPV, on a line-by-line basis, wearing a critical head to say there should be a lot of wrong things here and I'm going to raise them and write them in such a way that the other party is able to understand what is wrong with what they did and also be able to articulate what should have actually happened in that capital budget or NPV calculation or the discount rate that was used, etc. Did I apply the right level of critical thinking? Was I critical in my reviews? Third, the business acumen. During the 5-day pre-release period, did I really understand this company that we are working for? Did I really understand it? And you will see tonight whether you did. Meaning, did I go through the competitors, the Kuros and the likes, and to understand how these types of companies that are operating schools are generating their money? What is their business model? How are they making their money? What are their costs? What are the risks that they're faced with? How do they mitigate those risks? Did you do a SWOT analysis? All those things that really enhances your business acumen. Did you go through those? Decision making. We call it decision making acumen. And this is about things like time management. Did I really manage my time well? Did I really make the right decisions at the right time? When the laptop switched off, what decisions did I make? And those also then link to the next acumen, which we call emotional intelligence. Okay, and emotional resilience. Was I resilient on the day? The fact that we started at 11 o'clock, was I resilient and I focused on the goal? I didn't allow anything else to distract me. I know how hard it must be. It must have been. But were you resilient to say, I'm here for a goal and I'm gunning for it? Guys, those are what the enabling competencies that are required of a chartered accountant. And if you look at the middle, the triangle in the middle is the integrated thinking to say you need to always be pulling from the enabling competencies, the professional values and attitudes, and the technical competencies to bring it all together. Were you composed to have composed responses so that we can declare you competent? When I say we, I mean, I'm talking about SAICA. So if not, or because we're here, something must have lacked, or we could have been severely impacted by the issues so much that even our best emotional resilience and our decision-making acumen could not get us over the line. Then we say this workshop is the workshop that we are using to try to make sure that you've got all of these bubbles. Come the 30th of March, you are able to deliver like a CASA or a CA from Namibia or a CA from Zim. So guys, I don't want to waste a lot of your time, but this is the question that I always ask. This time I'm going to ask it differently. I'm going to say, if you've forgiven yourself, you've forgiven SAICA for finding yourself in this situation, and you're committed to this workshop, you're committed to going back and reflecting as to what led you to be here tonight, and to working on those issues and calling on us to assist you where the need arises, and participating in this workshop to make sure that you are adequately prepared, to make sure you are carving out all those hours that we're asking you to do so, and not to be distracted by anything, cell phones, whatever the case might be, carving out time to always be here for these workshops, and carving out time to go and reflect on your own script. I know you don't have your script, but how you might start remembering what you've written, and committing to rewriting this case study, rewriting it, and approaching it in the same fashion as what the professional team, my colleagues, are going to show you how they would have approached it. I want every single one of you guys to write in the chat box and say, I commit, because come the 30th of March, I will deliver like a responsible business leader, like a chartered accountant, like a competent professional. I want you guys to commit to that. And then now, let me turn, and then now also welcome Rendani to the session. Rendani is going to talk to us, number one, about the workshop and how we're going to deliver the workshop over this 3 weeks, from this evening until the 16th of March. I might have gotten that date wrong, but I think it's the 16th of March. and what is expected of us at each point, and also then to deliver the session of tonight. And the session of tonight being what was expected of you guys with respect to the pre-release information. Let me also take this opportunity to also reiterate that, remember, we don't have your scripts. We also do not have, or we're not going to put you in any position that is different to where you would have been by the 1st of April. So what we're going to do is we're going to approach this together with you. There's no prepared solution that we have that we will be taking you through. We're just going to take you through how we would have approached it so that you learn from the process and you learn from us, okay? Because we do not want you to be in trouble with SAICA in terms of the expectation level around solution scripts and all of those.
Cedric.
Cool. So Rendani, you can
Hello?
come through and then address firstly how the structure of our workshop, and secondly, then take the group across in respect of the pre-release information. Thanks, guys.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Rendani.
Thank you, Fedi.
Good evening, Rendani.
So welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. So yeah, as Fedi mentioned, I'm one of the professional team members. My focus is generally accounting and management, accounting, finance, and strategy. So even when it comes to looking at the APC 2021 with you, I'll be focusing on tasks relating to those particular competence area. So first of all, just to then talk about what we've put together. So we've put together a workshop looking at the APC 2021. And as Fedi outlined, for us, it's not a matter of debating whether this is the appropriate or this is the competent response or not, but it is really to help you to master what he referred to as the set of technical and professional skills that one requires in order to demonstrate, in order to be a responsible leader. And therefore, throughout the workshop, what we'll then be doing is applying those set of skills. So in other words, this will then be a matter of talking to critical thinking, that this is one of the comments that we have seen so many times from the examination committee or the marking committee, coming out and saying that each and every year candidates are demonstrating lack of critical thinking. So we're going to then be addressing what it really means to demonstrate critical thinking in the context of a case study. And we're also going to talk about demonstrating business acumen and also effective communication. And the idea will then be for us to then partner and work through each and every detail in the pre-release, the IOD, as well as the task list. And because we are not going to be sharing what will then be SAICA specimen solution or what will then be the marking grids, it means that we will then be working through it rather in detail. And you will see, as we do tonight, as well as in the reflection videos that I'm going to share with you, how it's going to be laid out. But the nice thing about it is that also on your side, you don't have your script, meaning that you now have an opportunity to really approach this from a fresh perspective. Yes, some of these things you may recall as you're going through them, some you may not. But essentially, what we believe is that to really get value is to then go and approach each and every task as if you're approaching it for the first time. The benefit is that it will really highlight to you whether some of the challenges that you experience on the day were related to either on the day exam stress, or whether they are really related to the fundamental principles or the fundamental technical knowledge or professional set of skills that was then expected of you. So that will then be what? That will then be the idea. So after today, you will have seen the timetable to say that we are meeting again on this particular day, we're going to cover this task. So what I then want to challenge you is that before we meet, then work through those tasks at the same rigor that we're going to be discussing tonight. Working through it line by line, checking yourself to say what kind of issues were they really assessing here? Were they assessing my technical knowledge? Am I delivering that? Were they assessing my ability to critically think? Am I demonstrating that? Were they assessing so on and so on and so on? Then when the professional team comes, then you will then be able to better engage with them. So in doing so, one of the things that I'll then want us to do tonight and focus on will then be to focus on the pre-released information. And the objective is always to say that when I get it, what is really expected of me? And that for us, it's quite simple. You need to become the person that they're saying you are. So if they say that you are the junior financial manager, if they say you are the junior disruptor, if you are the executive assistant to the CFO, CEO, you should be that. And what it means that you need to prepare for it as if you were preparing for an interview, that you will then go through that limited detail that has been given before you and become a master or an expert in what? Become a master or an expert in that company. Remembering that when you engage with senior management, they will not be engaging with you in an abstract manner, like if you see how we engage with each other as the professional team. We don't come and talk about things in an abstract manner, but we focus on the issues and the detail that is before us. And what it means that also yourself, if you are saying that when I get a task, the first thing that I do is that I open my file, then the question is then what is the point of the engagement that you are having on the day of assessment with key management? And that is something that will then be working through in quite a lot of detail to just make sure that you are present and are able to engage with everything that is put before you. And for me, that's very important. So by the end of tonight, I don't want you to be double guessing any element of this A company. I don't know how to say the name. Is it Akegos or something? Very difficult name. But we'll just call it A for simplicity. So I'll want you to then know everything, but I'm not being a good candidate there, right? As you can imagine, I needed to know the name quite well, but I'll leave that problem to be yours. So as I was saying, that the idea here is to really be intimate with the detail in the pre-release. And you have to be in the mind of the examiners, the mind of senior management, to say what is it that they are really expecting of you as a junior or entry-level chartered accountant. What is then your value add? And once you challenge yourself to say, therefore, what am I expected to do? What am I expected to demonstrate? Then you will be able to really do what? You will then be able to deal with whatever they're going to present to you. And there's always then a question to say, what is it that I need to be on the lookout for? What are the elements that after then going through this, I need to have mastered? And for me, it is these elements, or yes, it is captured in the picture right here. So this is a picture that I've come to fall in love with, and it's in the integrated reporting framework. So this is the framework that companies nowadays use in order to prepare integrated reports. Some of you might have had exposure to listed companies' integrated reports, either during your training program or just reading generally, or you being an investor in a particular company. But essentially, you will find that companies nowadays prepare this very comprehensive report. And in this comprehensive report, they will deal with several aspects of a business. But for me, every time I hold an integrated report, by the time I put it down, I've got a very, very good understanding of a business. It is as if then tomorrow I can say that, no, let's talk executive about this business. These are some of my views, these are so on, based on the value of the information that is coming from there. And you'll then appreciate that in most cases, the CFO in this listed companies are chartered accountants. That means sometime or somewhere in your career, if that's your aspiration, you will be expected to coordinate the preparation of such a document. But for me, the key takeaway is that it helps you to think about how a business works. And this picture right here says that whatever business I throw at you, if you approach it in this particular manner or asking these particular elements, you will have a better understanding of that business. You will easily become an expert. And it is as if every time I look at the APC or Psycha APC case study, it's like every time I find as if the examiners hold this and say, we need to make sure we address the financial elements in the introduction, we address the manufactured capital, we address the intellectual, the human, and so on. But it's always aligned with this. And it's not that they are looking at this, but it's just how business work. And the question is, should I be worried that they might bring this kind of industry? No, you should not, because at the end of the day, every business will then have these elements. What if it's a non-for-profit? It's not for profit. What if it's a for-profit? What if it's public sector? Every business will have these elements because it's all about creating value. And integrated thinking really then says value, it's more than just reporting a profit. It's more than just growing your assets, but it's building the capitals of the business, which the integrated reporting framework identifies as 6 capitals that need to exist in a business. So that would be your financial, manufactured, intellectual, human, social, and natural. And what it means that if you are now saying that I want to understand the case study in a pre-release, are you able to now then say to someone that I have seen their and mastered their financial capital thinking? The top line revenue is so significant for them because of these reasons. There is EBITDA, there is also the gearing ratios or the funding structure, but that's what you will then be thinking about them. So that means when you get out or when you have engaged with the pre-release, document A in most cases, you need to have at least a view on the company's financial performance, financial position, and cash flow performance, as well as cash flow position. So that is number one. Manufactured capital will then be all about understanding its infrastructure, its PPE, its so its PPE will then be sitting there. And in this context, it will then be the schools. The intellectual capital, which will mostly be captured sometimes in their intangible, in their brands, in their trademarks, that will be sitting there. And when you talk about then the next element, it's human. Do you know who the key players are? Have you considered the governance structures? Have you considered the key personnel other than the executives or the leadership? So you need to have that understanding. How does it interact, or where is it from a social perspective? Who are the key players in this business? Is it government? Is it customers? Or in this case, the learners, as well as what the parents will be some of the key relationships that this entity needs to build and maintain. And natural will then be the natural capital, how they engage with the resources, the environment, and their contribution to such. But that is essentially what you are seeing on the blue. And what this value creation process then says happens is that a business, its objective is to grow those capitals, all of them. That's how it will survive or maintain sustainability. And therefore, on the green, you will then see that the output from this value creation process will then be the same 6 capital. And the idea is to make them bigger than what we started. So revenue has to be bigger, assets have to be bigger, the intellectual capital has to grow, the human capital has to grow, our relationship has to be stronger with our key stakeholders, and so on. But how do we do this? Then this is captured by the middle block, which says that then in developing or growing this 6 capital, we need to identify the risks and opportunities. So by the time you are done with document 1, can you engage on what are the risks and opportunities for this business? Then what is the strategy? What is the mission, the values, the vision of this company? So that you can understand how they allocate resources and how they allocate their time. And the idea here is that as you're busy reading and they say, we want to develop this, you want to develop this, you should be saying that, oh, so this is what takes management time. So I should be expecting tasks that contribute to that. I would be very surprised if I don't see tasks that contribute to that. Then they take that and they process it using their own business model, their own way of doing things, which will then also reveal what is their strength and their what and their weaknesses. And this is now where there is performance, now using the resources, implementing the strategy against how the future looks like to be better positioned and so on, and making sure that the outcomes are such that we are contributing to the development of the 6 capitals. So this is essentially how you need to think about the PRI. And more so document A, that what has been your view with regards to document A? Do you always have a plan with it? Do you always have some key takeaways that you want to have? If the answer is no, then I will advise you to adopt this value creation process, because it will then help you to ask some of the key questions about that business and to then do it, and then to be able to link them with the entire case study, because it's in an integrated case study after all. So that is what we are going to use tonight as we look at document A. But before we even get them, because I'm going to just give you an opportunity to, if you don't have it, to download it, or if you have it, to just then make sure you have either a printed copy and so on. And as we go through it, you make notes against your own copy. So just to then, before we get to that aspect, some of just the guidance. So you will see once you have successfully registered and logged in, that we have published under my announcements. There is a notice board where you will then find what we call note 0, or the welcome note. So we'll encourage everyone to download that welcome note. It introduces you to the APC caretaking team. That will be the team that you can always refer to for any assistance with admin queries. So maybe it's queries relating to my universe, which is the registration in the online platform, queries regarding where to find things, queries to follow up on things, and so on. Then also you'll find that it mentions the calendar or the timetable, which has got links to all the live classes that we're going to have. And additionally, it outlines the communication channels. There is a WhatsApp platform. The link is also on the welcome note. So you can then do it. You can then go to, if you want to, you can join the WhatsApp. So the WhatsApp, you've got your other peers in them, so you can engage, you can share tips, and you can also offer tips or advices to others. And there's also that notice board that I was talking about, where the key information will always be uploaded. And then the discussion groups, it's where you've got an opportunity to either post a technical query, or we're going to use that to just update you when a video is available. Then there's also an information guideline on how to navigate around my universe, how to find things, and so on. So we've prepared that to really help with the administration process. And if you've got any suggestions or complaints, then we've also provided an email there, because we, as Fedi said, we want to make sure that at the end of the day, this adds value to you. So you might be saying that, no, but this is something that I know me and my team were struggling with. I want to just ask that the team at least address this before we are done. Then we're also going to share the face note, which is now more of a technical guidance. So you'll see this tomorrow. So this is more of a technical guidance to say, how should you then be preparing for the workshop, or using the workshop. But one of the things that you'll see that the welcome note introduces is what we call reflection videos and notes. So what we have then done is that in the timetable, we have then indicated what we are going to cover, which task we're going to cover on a particular day. And in addition, we then said that before we meet, there will be a pre-recorded session on the pre-release, where now the professional team will then be providing you with guidance to say that, or an analysis of the PRI to then tell you that there is, these are the triggers, and this is the information that you need to work on ahead of the assessment. Then you need to watch those videos. Please make sure you watch those videos before the discussion. Otherwise, you will lose quite a lot of value by attending without having gone through that. Because we want you to come having had a view of what might have went wrong in your or pre-research period. Because sometimes you might be thinking that maybe this assessment was challenging on the day, but you might find that actually the challenges that you had before the day had already predetermined your outcome. That given the triggers you identified, given the quality of work that you had done on them, that somehow undermined already the quality of what? The quality of what you're going to deliver. So that is something that we'll want you to be aware of. Then in some cases, you might find that actually I was on point with the pre-research analysis, and the issue was really on the day. When I got them, I could not demonstrate the level, the appropriate level of coverage and the appropriate level of depth. And that is why my answer appeared shallow, appeared as if I'm being rushed, appeared as if so on and so on and so on. And those are then the other elements that will then be working through on the evening session. So to clarify, before the session, we'll work on the pre-release based on the pre-recorded sessions. And the videos will be named accordingly. It will say task B, it's a reflection video. Task A, it's a reflection video. Then you will easily find what you need from there. And then come on the day, it will then be, we are discussing task B, and we'll go through the IOD together. And we'll then want you to engage, ask questions, and have clarity by the time we are done. And we'll also, in some cases, just show you how we'll go about writing that, because sometimes you see an issue and you step back and say that, but this is a problem and I don't know how to raise it to my direct senior because it's unethical and I want to raise it. How do I write it? So those are some of the guidance that will then provide on the day. Yes, and I think, yeah, that will then just be the approach that we will be following over the next couple of days. Any clarifying question before we kick off? So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes after we address the questions to then quickly download, if you have not, to quickly find, if you prefer printing anything that you want, and if you also take a quick refresher break before we jump into the pre-release. But before we do, any questions? Oh, so I see some. Are we supposed to think of a task in relation to this diagram? So the tasks may arise because sometimes as you go through maybe understanding the business model, there could be some strategies that they're thinking about which could then trigger a potential task. And there could be some issues with the governance that you are now worried about that you could then be expected to address later on. But at this particular point, I will then say that focus on just understanding the business as being its strength and its limitation. So that will be the fundamental takeaway. Then if you're identifying technical triggers, that's good, but I will not want you to get distracted. At first, I want you to just make sure that you are comfortable on what the business is all about. Okay. So I've clarified the reflection video, or is that not clear? Maybe you can confirm. Okay. Musa, are you good? Okay. All right, so yeah, quick 5 minutes. What is the time? So just maybe organize yourself, a quick refresher or bathroom break, and then we will kick off. Okay.